Warriors on the Wii U is the best game ever. Until now. Here we go. To another episode of Wormys Playhouse, and today I'm going to be talking about the Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. Now, this just released on the Nintendo Switch, and for those of you that don't know, well, it was ported over from the Wii U and also the 3DS version as well. So, this is a fast-paced action Dynasty Warriors style game. Dynasty Warriors pretty much has become just its own genre now, where you're just running through the levels fighting endless hordes of enemies, slashing away and attacking the enemies. It's basically just its own style. They've made so many different versions. There's the Hyrule Warriors versions, there's Fire Emblem Warriors, there's Dragon Quest Warriors, and there's also the Dynasty Warrior games in general. So, and it's now become its own genre, much like many games, like the first RPG ever. Well, the very first one, well, that was its own thing, and it just became a genre. So Nintendo is releasing a lot of ports to the Nintendo Switch. A lot of the great games that were on the Wii U, games that maybe not have sold as well, because let's face it, the Wii U, well, has only sold 13 million copies in its entire lifespan. And the Nintendo Switch, well, that surpassed that within the first year. Can you believe that? So the fact that Nintendo is taking the best of the best Wii U games and porting them over to the Switch, well, I'm actually kind of excited about that, because not everyone got to play those games. And yes, I am a Wii U owner, and yes, I did buy these games on the Wii U. And I'm again buying them on the Switch. But should you buy them on the Switch? If you bought them on the Wii U, are you going to buy these games on the Switch? That's the question that we need to ask ourselves. So let's go ahead and find out. So in Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, cut down enemy hordes as Legend of Zelda characters in full 1080p 60 frames per second in TV mode, or in 2-player on one system. Link and Zelda can battle in costumes from the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild game, while Tetra and King Daphne's appear in scenes based on the Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker game. Find and care for fairies who will aid you in battle. All features and downloadable content from past versions of the game, including the Wii U version and the 3DS version, including My Fairy mode, and elements from the Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, can be enjoyed in crisp HD on the Nintendo Switch system. This time, you won't face the dark sorcerer Sia alone. Command legendary heroes and villains in battle to achieve objectives as you unleash special attacks. Advance the story to unlock characters, each with their own moves and weapon types. Collect rubies and other items to upgrade weapons and craft badges, which bolster your warrior's abilities. The fate of Hyrule rests in your hands. So Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition on Nintendo Switch, they basically add a bunch of new content. They take all the content from the Wii U version and the 3DS version, and they combine them into one great game, including all the characters, all the DLC characters, tons of new story content as well, and it goes really far into this game. They improved a lot of things with it, like the graphics. It was 30 frames per second at best on the Wii U. And let's not even talk about the 3DS version. The 3DS version had some problems. While the 3DS version did add some interesting mechanics that you can actually control different characters more so at once compared to the Wii U version, where once you played a level, you were stuck with one character. The 3DS version, you got to, play as different characters as well. And they added some new story mode and characters in the 3DS version, but it just had some problems graphically wise and frame rate wise as well. But the Switch version, you get 1080p 60 frames per second in dock mode, and then while in handheld mode, 1080p 30 frames per second. It's not a locked frame rate, but from what I've played, it's been really smooth. I haven't seen many drops in the game at all. Much more smooth than the Wii U version, so that's a huge improvement right there. I have been playing it mainly in handheld mode. I do, of course, play it at dock late at night when I'm home, but when I'm on the go, which lately I've been on the go a lot, I've been taking my Switch with me everywhere. And I've gotta say, it does play really well in handheld mode. So if you're wondering if it's worth it for, the portability alone, well, it definitely is. It's really smooth in handheld mode. And boy, once you put it in dock mode on your big TV, it looks phenomenal. And the frame rate is so crisp and smooth. So you get to play as so many different characters from the Zelda universe, and they created new characters for the Hyrule Warriors game. Some characters that are actually really well developed and important to the storyline, because yes, there is a story in Hyrule Warriors. And I know most Zelda games, they don't have that much of a storyline to them. Here's your sword, go save the princess. You know, that's pretty much it. So the stories in Zeldas were never that fleshed out. Yes, there are a couple that are, but you know what I mean. However, in Hyrule Warriors, for some reason, they really take the story to the extreme. They really fleshed out the entire story, where they combine all the different characters from all the different timelines of Zelda and bring them together. And they bring them together in a really well way. So the story is really engaging right there. And the new characters that they did create for this, well, they basically became really important characters that I actually like, and that I'm glad that they're in the Zelda universe now. And when they released the 3DS version, well, they created a new character, Linkle. And I gotta say, I really like playing as Linkle. I didn't play the 3DS version to begin with. I only played it on the Wii U, so I only have that to compare to. And it was really great on the Wii U. I enjoyed it very much. But the 3DS version, well, they added new storyline and characters to that game. And thankfully, they brought that over to the Switch version, because Linkle, she is one of my favorite characters. She is OP to the max. So if you're wondering who Linkle is, well, she's basically female Link. Well, not entirely, because she's not Link. She's not the true legendary hero of time, although she heard the stories. She's grown up, and she's heard all the stories of the legendary hero, and she thinks that she's that hero. She even has this compass that was passed down through her through the generations from her grandma, and it does have a magic ability to it. It's a magic compass, and it takes her on her journey on the way, and she believes that she is the hero of time. And Nintendo, you need to utilize her in upcoming Zelda games, because she's a phenomenal character. I love her. She's one of my favorite characters right now. I've been playing a lot as Linkle. She's really OP. She has these dual crossbows and she's just shooting away all over the place, throwing bombs at everybody. And then you can hit the Y button and you go into this first person shooting mode with your crossbows and just go just releasing endless rounds of arrows. It is so cool. Another character that I think they actually improved from the Wii U version is Sheik. I really think they improved her because she's another OP character. She's really overpowered. She has these area of effect moves that just brings in all the enemies and you just destroy them and wipe them out clean. It's really great, so she's another one of my faves. There's so many characters in the game. Basically from every Zelda game, if there's a character in it, well, guess what? They're in this game. I haven't quite beaten the game yet. I've been playing a lot of the game, so I'm pretty far into it because I want to unlock the new story at the end. After you full beat the game, it unlocks new story, new levels, and it's based on the Wind Waker game. One of my absolute favorite Zelda games, Wind Waker and Breath of the Wild. So not only do you get to play as Link and Zelda from Breath of the Wild, you have their costumes that come with the game, and I really want to play as Toon Link, and mainly my absolute favorite character who's very underutilized, even though she's been in like 3 Zelda games and no one seems to talk about her, but is Tetra. Tetra is my absolute favorite character, and I cannot wait to play as her. That's going to be really fun. I can't wait to see what her set move list is. That'll be really fun. So compared to the Wii U version, there's a lot of new content. There's new characters, and all the downloadable characters from the Wii U version and the 3DS, well, guess what? They're in the Definitive Edition. This is it. So as you progress through the game, you're unlocking more characters as you go along, and Linkle herself adds new story mode. So from the Wii U version, there's more levels and stories that you get in the Definitive Edition. And what's really funny, I think is really funny, because you know how Zelda games, well, they're not truly an RPG. You know, you can call them an action RPG, but most people would say they're an action-adventure game with RPG-like mechanics, in which I think that's a fair analysis of the game. You know, Breath of the Wild, that was an exploration-style game. It wasn't truly an RPG. It had RPG-like mechanics, but it was an action-adventure exploration game, and majority of Zelda games are like that. However, Hyrule Warriors, I gotta say, I think this is a true RPG because it has everything that you would argue a true RPG would have. Does it have a leveling system where your characters truly level up? Well, yes it does. Does it have a really engaging story that might bring tears to your eyes? Well, yes it does. Does it have different set moves and abilities and skills that your characters get? Different weapons and armors that you can unlock to progress through the game? Well, yes it does. Can you build your character in certain ways, make them more action and a heavy attack base or more defensive based style? Well, yes it does. So I would argue if those are the RPG mechanics that you claim to be, it needs this to be an RPG, well, guess what? Hyrule Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition has all of that. And I know it's not truly an RPG. It's a Dynasty Warriors style of game, which is again, is its own genre. But it's just funny to think that everyone claims Zelda's not an RPG. Well, here we go. There's the RPG. So the story is a really engaging story. I'm not going to really spoil anything for you, but it's just interesting. Link starts off as a knight in the academy in Hyrule Castle, and Zelda, she's actually, well, she's a strong character. She's got like battle armor on and swords in her hands, so she's battle ready to be prepared to fight. And the hero of time, well, it hasn't been chosen yet. So we're not quite too sure who the hero is. And some kind of evil fog hazes over Hyrule, and well, of course, Impa and Zelda, well, they set off to defend Hyrule Castle along with all the knights in their army. Well, Link steps up with his knight to go fight the endless hordes of enemies, and thus, Impa comes along and gives him the green tunic. This is your time to shine and show us what you're made of. And from there, the story goes and brings in all the different games from the franchise, and just, it really brings them in together, which I really like that. So there is a really engaging story. So I do recommend playing the game for the story, for the action, for all the characters. If you just enjoy the Zelda game series in general, you'll love this game. But now what I really want to ask is, if you played this on Wii U or the 3DS version, should you get it again on Nintendo Switch? Well, you know, yes, I really think you should. If you enjoyed it before, you're definitely going to enjoy it again now, because there's so much replayability in the game. You can go back through each level, finding new things in that level. You can play it in different difficulty levels, which unlocks more achievements. There's so many achievements in this game that I know I'll never be able to get, but I'll try. And if you haven't played Hyrule Warriors at all, well then, definitely get it, 100%. What are you waiting for? Go get it! Even if you're not a fan of Zelda games in general, well, if you like those action-packed, you know, hack and slash games, like Dynasty Warriors, well then this is like the perfect version of it. I would argue this is better than Fire Emblem Warriors. I thought that was a fantastic game. I enjoyed it a lot. I know some people didn't like the characters in it, it didn't showcase enough from the entire series, but you know, I had a lot of fun playing it. But I'm having much more fun with this game, just because I might be more biased towards Zelda, because I love that franchise. So those are my basic thoughts on this game. I just wanted to briefly talk about it because I've been enjoying this so much. I've been playing it in handheld mode. There are a few nitpicks if I had to nitpick at it a little bit. While in handheld mode, again, you know, it does drop from 60 frames to 30 frames per second. But if you're a Nintendo fan, you don't care about the FPS, you know, frames per second. I never really did. It's just, who cares? I'm just surprised that it does play in full 60 frames per second on dock mode and full 30 in handheld mode. You know, because the Switch in handheld mode, well, it's not as powerful as a dock mode, but it does play really smoothly. What I would say is that the map on the screen in portable mode is kind of small. It's difficult to see the map and figure out where you're going next. So what I've found to realize to do is hitting the pause button. If you just hit the pause button, that way you get a brief second to calm down from the battle, and then you can look at the map and figure out where to go. So you do have to play the game kind of like that. And when there's a huge battle going on, it does get kind of hard to see where you are, and you just kind of hitting the same button over and over again. So it is a repetitive style of game. It very much is repetitive, but they're good with it because there's so many different characters, there's so many different move lists that you can have. Each character has its own set moves list, which is really nice. And some people are arguing about the full price on the game. Yes, it's full price at $60. You know, that's debatable on your own terms whether you like that practice or not. I don't really mind that much because, again, they're fantastic games. They're like the best of the Wii U games, and Nintendo has taken a lot of time to put extra content and effort into these games and bringing them over to the Switch. So the value of this game, there's so much in it, so much replayability in the game, that's right there alone is worth the price. So enough of me gushing about this game, because clearly I'm a Zelda fan and I just love Zelda games and I love this game. So this has become one of my new favorite games for the second time because I have played it on the Wii U, and I'm so thankful that it's on the Switch because, again, we get to play it in that portable mode and it adds all that new content. So will you be getting the game? Of course you will. What are you waiting for? Go out now, get Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. It's a great game. You're gonna love it. There's so much replayability. So thank you for joining us today for an episode of Wormys Playhouse, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. Talk to me. I'll talk back to you. No one's gonna talk to me though. So we'll see you again for the next episode. We'll see you then. Bye.